All right, folks, good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started. This is Dave Nadler with the National Weather Service here in Peachtree City, Atlanta. And this is the fourth special weather briefing webinar we've done on Ian. It's Thursday afternoon at 12:30. Thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon. All right, here's the latest on Ian. It has weakened as it moved across, as expected, as it moved across central Florida. It is a high-end tropical storm. Maximum sustained wind 70 miles per hour. It's just off the coast of Florida at this point on the East Coast. It is expected to re-strengthen just a little bit over the next 12 to 24 hours back to hurricane status. At this point, again, we've been talking about the track and the confidence and everything, and the consensus of the models. The forecast trend over the next couple of days, as far as where it's expected to go, confidence is pretty high in that. So we feel pretty good about what we've been seeing and what we're expecting to see over the next couple of days across north and central Georgia. And primarily, as we have been discussing over the last couple of days, we are anticipating the winds. The winds have already developed and have been gusting pretty good today. So today, basically through tomorrow into Friday night, early Saturday, we expect to basically be dealing with these gusty winds, which could be strong at times, especially closer to the center of Ian as it approaches the South Carolina coast later tomorrow. So a wind advisory is in effect at this time for a good portion of north and central Georgia. And I'll kind of go into that here in just a little bit. Here is the wind advisory. This is what's out currently through 8 o'clock this evening. I do want to note that we will likely be expanding the advisory in time at the very least. So we may, with our future issuances or future updates, we may just take this wind advisory through the day tomorrow, through tonight, through the day tomorrow, and then even into tomorrow night, because we are anticipating advisory criteria or advisory level wind gusts basically off and on through the entire period over the next couple of days. So one other thing we'll have to look at is, do we expand the advisory a little bit north and west? That's something we're going to continue to look at today. That's certainly a possibility, especially in the higher elevations of North Georgia, Northeast Georgia. We'll have to look at that to see if that's going to be something we'll look at. If we don't do anything with that later this afternoon, then certainly by tomorrow morning, there may be some minor changes to this advisory heading into tomorrow. All right, here is just looking at the satellite. Very much disjointed compared to what we were looking at about 24 hours ago with Ian. As expected again, the upper level winds have kind of sheared it apart a little bit from the southwest there. That's why you're seeing a pretty significant spread in high level moisture to the north and east of the center. And as you can see on the radar image to the right there, the center of Ian is just off the coast of Florida there, east of Orlando, north of Melbourne, and near Daytona Beach area. And that is good. The center of the system is expected to continue to sort of track northeast through the day today into tonight. And then there could be just a little bit of strengthening. Again, max winds for a hurricane is 75 miles per hour. Hurricane center has it at about 70 right now. So it's not going to take much reorganization to get it back to hurricane status, but there's no real indication that it's going to get much above a Category 1 hurricane over the next 24 hours before it makes landfall again somewhere along the South Carolina coast late tomorrow night into early Saturday. So let's talk a little bit about, again, the confidence in the track. Wanted to show this graphic from the Hurricane Center, and it kind of tells you basically where the center of the storm is, but it kind of reemphasizes the impacts occurring well beyond where the forecast cone is. So even though the cone itself has moved out of the entire state of Georgia, the impacts along the coast and inland are going to be felt. So it's important to understand that. I want to say for our area, for north and central Georgia, we're not issuing any tropical related products like tropical storm watch or tropical storm warnings, mainly due to the continual drift eastward in the actual track of Ian, but also in the probabilities of seeing any tropical storm force sustained winds, basically 40 miles per hour or stronger, along with the significant rainfall that is associated with Ian. We think that it's going to be far enough east of our area where we really don't need to issue any tropical related products. Now we are going to handle the stronger winds, the gusty winds with wind advisories. Hopefully we don't have to go into high wind warning status, but we are going to handle the wind impacts with non-tropical related products at this time and for the foreseeable future. So hopefully this kind of breaks down why we're doing what we're doing. And of course, the offices to the east, Columbia, GSP, and even Charleston are handling it a little bit differently for obvious reasons. They're going to be more directly impacted by Ian as it makes landfall later tomorrow into tomorrow night. So in talking about the winds, basically what we tried to do is sort of break down the periods through tonight, this afternoon through tonight. This is what you're seeing right now. Some of the strongest winds, especially across, like along the I-85 corridor, may actually occur today through this evening. But this is kind of what we're expecting. This is a snapshot of peak wind gusts, basically anywhere from 20 to 40 plus mile per hour winds across the area. That's what we have already been seeing since this morning. We expect that to continue through the day and into the evening hours. Now, sustained winds are going to be generally in the 10 to 20 mile per hour range. We could see some stronger sustained winds at times, maybe 20 to 30 miles per hour across the area, especially along and south of the I-85 corridor through this evening. But again, the main impact is going to be not so much the magnitude, although it is getting up in speed quite a bit, but the duration of these wind gusts that we could see over the next 24 to 36 hours. And on top of that, as some of the rain starts to creep in from the east and southeast later tomorrow into tomorrow night, the saturated soils across our far eastern counties could certainly enhance the probability of seeing some more downed trees across the area with these wind speeds. Again, here's the wind advisory that's in effect currently through 8 p.m. this evening. We're going to definitely keep this going. We may be expanding it a little bit in space, but definitely in time beyond 8 o'clock this evening. We'll talk a little bit more about that here at the end. Now, peak wind gusts this is for tomorrow into tomorrow night. So looks kind of similar. We back off just a little bit along the I-85 corridor with maximum wind gusts expected, but still a good portion of the area from south of Gainesville, Athens, Eatonton, down toward Macon. We could still see some 30 plus mile per hour gusts. And then further east, like east of Louisville to Dublin, McRae line, we could see some 40 plus mile per hour wind gusts tomorrow into tomorrow evening as the center of Ian starts to track into parts of South Carolina. So again, that gradient that we've been talking about is going to continue to tighten up just a little bit today, tonight, into tomorrow and tomorrow evening, and that's what's going to support these stronger wind gusts over the next 24 to 36 hours. Now, as you head into Saturday, the good news is that the winds should weaken quite a bit, but we'll still probably see some gusts, 15 to 25, maybe up to 30 miles per hour at times, especially across the northern third of Georgia. As Ian continues to weaken and move somewhere in the Carolinas, close to the Central Appalachians, these kind of on the backside of the system, there's still enough of a gradient there that we could see some winds gusting up to 20 to 25 miles per hour. But the good news is that the overall magnitude of the winds is expected to diminish and decrease a little bit on Saturday. Now for rainfall, again, this has sort of been the trend day after day, is fortunately is that the heaviest rain access is expected to continue to move east into South Carolina, and our far eastern counties may still be impacted by up to a couple of inches of rainfall beginning very, very late tonight into the day tomorrow. The good news here, though, that again, with the expected forecast track of Ian continuing to shift just a little bit east with each, every 3 to 6 hour forecast update from the Hurricane Center, it's also taking with it the heavier rainfall. So that's certainly good news with respect to any flood issues, flood risk, flash flooding that we're looking at the risk for that for flooding and some significant rainfall has gone down quite a bit over the last couple of days. Still something to keep in mind, those of you from east of Gainesville, Banks County down toward Athens, east of Eatonton, Dublin, McRae, basically towards the South Carolina state line. That's where the higher rainfall amounts are expected at this time, and we could see anywhere from about a half to maybe 2 to 2.5 inches in some spots come late Friday night into Saturday before everything kind of wraps up. But again, some of these amounts may start to come down just a little bit if Ian continues to track even further east than what we're kind of looking at this time. All right, and then in summary again, Ian is a high-end tropical storm just off the coast of Florida, the east coast of Florida at this time. It's expected to strengthen just a little bit into hurricane status over the next 12 to 24 hours as it tracks over the open waters of the Atlantic and approaches the South Carolina coast later tomorrow. Again, confidence is pretty high in this forecast. And even though there's no part of Georgia actually in the forecast cone, the impacts of the wind and some of the rain and certainly the surge along the coastal areas is still going to be felt even though the cone is shifted outside of the state at this time. And for north and central Georgia, gusty to strong winds, 20 to 40 plus mile per hour, basically from now through the day tomorrow, Friday into Friday evening and even early Saturday can be expected. We do have a wind advisory that's currently in effect through this evening that will likely be adjusted with later updates. The good news with the heavy rain and flood risk is that it is continuing to shift ever so slightly to the east. So really just our far eastern counties will be watching for some pockets of more significant rainfall, maybe upwards of 1 to 2 inches, slightly higher amounts as we head through the day tomorrow into tomorrow night and early Saturday. At this time, we are going to continue to do maybe one more special webinar briefing on the conditions as things evolve tomorrow at 12:30. Then after that, more than likely, we're not going to be doing any more special briefings, and we'll just continue to handle updates for all of our core partners through emails. And hopefully the impacts will continue to be fairly minimal outside of the winds, persistent winds occurring from today basically through Friday night and early Saturday. So with that, I will stop the recording.